In the first few months of 2026, nearly 45,000 to 78,000 tech jobs were cut globally, depending on how you measure it. But here's the part that matters more. Up to 20% of those layoffs were directly linked to AI. And some estimates suggest the real impact is much higher. Not because AI is replacing entire jobs overnight, but because it's changing how much work companies actually need people to do. If you're in tech right now, this probably doesn't feel like a sudden shock. It feels more like a slow shift. Fewer junior hires, smaller teams, more pressure to deliver faster, and a question that's starting to show up more often. Am I in the category that gets replaced first? Because AI isn't replacing everything at once. It's starting somewhere specific, and once you see where that is, the pattern becomes very clear. To understand what's happening, you have to separate headlines from reality. Because not all layoffs are labeled the same way. In early 2026, over 45,000 tech layoffs were officially recorded. Out of those, around 9,200 roles were explicitly tied to AI and automation. That's about 20%. But that number doesn't tell the full story, because AI is also driving indirect changes, restructuring teams, reducing hiring, changing how work is distributed. Some estimates suggest that nearly half of tech layoffs in Q1 2026 were influenced by AI in some way. Not always directly, but structurally. And that distinction matters, because companies aren't saying, we're replacing this job with AI. They're saying, we no longer need as many people to do this work, which leads to the same outcome. Fewer roles, smaller teams, higher expectations. So the real question isn't, is AI replacing jobs? It's which jobs is it affecting first? The first category is the most predictable, entry-level and junior roles. These are typically the roles designed for learning, for onboarding new talent, for handling smaller, structured tasks. And that's exactly why they're affected first. Because those tasks are the easiest to automate. Things like basic code generation, testing repetitive functionality, cleaning and organizing data, tasks that follow patterns, tasks that don't require deep context. And that creates a shift inside companies. Instead of hiring junior developers, teams rely more on experienced engineers supported by AI tools. Instead of building large teams with layers of experience, they compress those layers, which means fewer entry points into the industry. And for people already inside, it changes the pipeline, because fewer junior roles today means fewer mid-level roles tomorrow. The second category is more subtle. Routine coding roles, not junior, not low skill, but predictable. Work that follows established patterns, standard APIs, internal tools, CRUD-based systems. This type of work used to require full teams. Now it can often be handled faster with fewer people, because AI tools can assist with writing boilerplate code, debugging known issues, generating standard solutions. So instead of eliminating these roles completely, companies reduce how many people they need in them. And this is where things start to feel different, because these aren't entry-level positions. These are stable mid-level roles, the kind people expect to grow in. But when the workload becomes more efficient, the team size shrinks, and hiring slows down. The third category sits slightly outside core engineering, support and adjacent functions. This includes roles like customer support, technical documentation, basic content generation, operational workflows. These roles are heavily task-based, and many of those tasks can now be assisted or partially replaced by AI. For example, AI can handle first-level support queries. It can generate documentation drafts, It can automate internal processes, so instead of large support teams, companies move toward smaller teams, supported by AI systems. And again, the result isn't always full replacement. It's reduction. Fewer hires, smaller teams, higher output expectations, which creates the same pressure across the market. Now, this is where the picture becomes more balanced. Because AI is not replacing everything. In fact, some roles are becoming more valuable. Roles that require context, decision-making, system-level understanding. For example, infrastructure engineers, systems architects, AI engineers, security specialists. These roles don't just execute tasks, they design systems, they make trade-offs, they operate in environments where mistakes are costly, and that kind of work is much harder to automate. So while some roles are being compressed, others are becoming more critical, which means the market isn't collapsing. It's splitting between roles that are easier to automate and roles that require deeper integration and understanding. This is the part most people don't fully see yet. The shift isn't just within tech. It's across where value is being created. For years, the focus was on building software, apps, platforms, interfaces. Now the focus is expanding toward systems, infrastructure, energy, the physical layers that support everything digital. Because AI doesn't run in isolation. It runs on data centers, on power systems, on large-scale infrastructure. And that infrastructure is growing fast, which is why investment is shifting. Companies are spending more on building AI capacity than on expanding traditional teams, and that changes where opportunities appear. Not necessarily in the most visible places, but in the most essential ones. So when you look at the full picture, AI isn't replacing tech jobs all at once. It's targeting specific categories first: entry-level roles, routine work, task-based functions, and at the same time, it's increasing demand somewhere else, in roles that are more complex, more integrated, more connected to real-world systems. So the question isn't just, will AI affect my job? It's, which category am I in? Because that determines how exposed you are and what your next move should be. The problem is, most people don't have a clear answer to that. They don't know where they stand or what their options actually look like. So instead of guessing, I built something simple, a short quiz that maps your current skills to roles that are growing and shows you how exposed your role might be. It takes a few minutes, and it gives you clarity. No assumptions, no pressure, just a better understanding of where you are and where you could go next. If you want to check it out, you'll find it in the description below.